Greetings, Silver and Black fans. Today, in this meeting, I will address how the trade involving George Pickens could impact the performance of the Las Vegas Raiders in two significant ways, and I will explain these points further shortly. Additionally, the Raiders needed to act quickly in response to George Pickens' trade, and I will reveal what action they took. By the end of our conversation today, I will bring you some updates about the injury rumors surrounding Christian Wilkins, and I can tell you that this information will likely be the most relevant you'll hear in this segment. I don't like being at a disadvantage, but I noticed that a trade happened between the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I began wondering how the Raiders are positioning themselves in comparison to these two teams this month. My aversion to the Cowboys is intense, and growing up in Pennsylvania, I've never been fond of the Pittsburgh Steelers either. The reality of being behind those two franchises this month, in terms of rankings, is genuinely discouraging. For those who cheer for the Silver and Black, remember to subscribe to help us surpass the Cowboys and the Steelers channels. Let's start by exploring the details of the George Pickens trade, as waking up to this announcement this morning was impactful. In fact, the trade almost happened the night before, between midnight and 1 a.m. The terms of the trade were as follows. The Pittsburgh Steelers acquired a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick for the years 2026 and 2027. The Cowboys, on the other hand, got George Pickens as a receiver, along with a sixth-round pick for 2027. My question for you is, although I acknowledge that neither of these teams is the Raiders, it's the NFL offseason season, and this is arguably the most relevant event of the day. Who do you think won this trade? If you believe the Pittsburgh Steelers got the better deal, type Pitt. If you think the Dallas Cowboys were the winners, type DL. Personally, I see this as a big win for Pittsburgh, getting a third-round pick in exchange for Pickens. The involvement of the Cowboys in this trade doesn't surprise me, as I recognize Pickens' talent. We all know his abilities, but the truth is he has a strong personality. That is not up for debate. The first thoughts I had when the trade was announced revolve around two main points. First, because Pickens is no longer part of the Steelers, who have been actively looking for a receiver in recent years. I was thinking if they might contact the Raiders and ask, is Jakobi Meyers available? A few months ago, a source close to the Steelers suggested it wouldn't be surprising if Pittsburgh reached out to the Raiders about Jakobi Meyers. This information is already old. Now, considering the situation, I understand they traded for DK Metcalf, but the fact that Jakobi was on Pittsburgh's radar is noteworthy, as well as the presence of Robert Woods as their second receiver. Maybe someone will mention Roman Wilson or suggest Calvin Austin. I'm not sure who they would be, but for a Steelers team that is looking to maintain a physical style of play, Jakobi Meyers would fit perfectly. He would be an excellent second receiver on any NFL roster. That's the truth, possibly except for the Bengals, as they have T. Higgins. However, if I were in the Raiders' position, I'd be worried not only about whether the Steelers might contact them, but also about whether they'd actually pick up the phone, which would be entirely understandable. Another thing to consider is whether Pickens will receive a substantial contract. If he gets a favorable deal, that could increase the asking price for Jakobi Meyers. This situation reminds me of how important it is for the Raiders to secure an extension for Max Crosby before Myles Garrett's contract, as if that happens before. Recent developments could elevate the asking price in negotiations concerning a specific player. This situation highlights the urgency of securing an extension for another essential player before major agreements are finalized. If this appears unavoidable, one can reasonably expect that a deal will be established during this offseason. It is crucial to achieve this ahead of any other agreements. Sources suggest that a certain player is not currently pursuing a new contract with his team. Reports indicate that this player wishes to demonstrate his abilities as a leading receiver initially, in order to enhance his market value as he enters free agency in the next season. However, from the perspective of the player currently in negotiations, there is likely a strong inclination toward reaching an agreement. For the team, a simple solution to dispel any speculation about interest from rival teams would involve extending a new contract. Fans would likely prefer not to entertain trade rumors concerning this player, especially as he has no guaranteed money remaining with just 1 year left on his existing contract. A practical way to dispel such discussions would be to offer a 2-year extension promptly. This extension would align appropriately with other significant players, fitting into a 3-year framework that is presently under evaluation. The figures being contemplated suggest a 2-year contract with a considerable amount fully guaranteed for this player. With the current agreement, this would effectively amount to 3 years, totaling a larger sum. This averages out to a notable annual figure over those 3 seasons, placing him among the higher-paid receivers at present. Nevertheless, it is worth considering how favorable this contract might look in future years, especially as time goes on. It is feasible that by a certain point, this player could fall outside the ranks of the top-paid receivers. Moreover, he is recognized as one of the most underappreciated players throughout the league. At this moment, this player ranks among the higher-paid receivers annually. However, reflect on how this contract might evolve into a valuable asset in the years to come. It is conceivable that by a certain time frame, he may no longer be one of the highest earners. The player in focus stands out as one of the league's most underrated athletes. Thus, for the team, it would be prudent to prioritize finalizing the contract extension, as any shifts in other areas could potentially enhance this player's value. Developments affecting rival teams may influence negotiations, as those teams might initiate contact. It is hoped that such a scenario does not arise, as retaining this player is vital. Additionally, it is notable that there are signs of a desire for an extension from another member of the team. If the intention was to extend this particular player before addressing the one in negotiations, recent developments might alter the priority toward the latter. Conversations regarding these players have been common this offseason, and both lack guaranteed money on their contracts. The new management has recently begun their term. The team has selected 3 receivers, which could incite speculation among other teams about potential trades. There may be assumptions that the team intends to move one player or another following recent draft selections. A question arises for fans. After reflecting on recent decisions and trades, who do you think will be extended first? If you think it will be the first player, write the corresponding initials. If you think it will be the second, write the initials of the other. This will be a question to be answered in the comments, and it is important that your OPI 9 be considered as the topics are discussed. If your bet is on Colt Miller, I would like you to provide the initials KM. If your choice is Jacoby Myers, provide the initials JM. This is the main question I want you to answer. As you face this YouTube interruption, please scroll down and send me your answer. My response will come shortly. It's essential that both contract renewals are completed, and I'm keeping an eye on the team responsible for that. These extensions need to be finalized by June 10th, the date marking the start of the mandatory minicamp for veteran players. The rookies will begin showing up on Friday, May 9th, and that will happen on May 9th, 10th, and 11th. I believe Colton Miller's contract will be finalized first, as the organization values offensive line players. Furthermore, Miller's satisfaction in the recent practices I've observed, even from a distance, is an optimistic sign. Therefore, I still believe Miller's deal will be the first to be completed. However, it's important that the process is accelerated. There is enough cap space to finalize both contracts, and I wouldn't want to have problems related to Colton Miller. The same applies to Jacoby Myers, as both are crucial to the team's success this year, next year, and even in 2028, in my view. Now, let's discuss information about Christian Wilkins. There have been many rumors about an injury involving Wilkins, and I contacted some athletes from the organization. Fortunately, one of them responded. I also have a reliable source within the team who provided details about Christian Wilkins' injury, which will be shared soon. For those considering acquiring a new uniform, there's a link available in the comments and description of today's discussion. I received some updates from an organization about Christian Wilkins' injury, which I will share soon. If you're interested in a uniform, it's worth noting that they're selling fast. I've already noticed 2 sizes are sold out, and this trend is expected to continue. This is a positive sign, as I want to see many fans wearing these uniforms. Furthermore, when accessing the provided site, consider the possibility of getting insurance for your uniform, as in the unfortunate event that the player is no longer with the team in 5 or 6 years. This insurance could be helpful. It's an interesting alternative to consider. Now, if you're curious about a uniform giveaway that's underway and don't intend to buy one, there's a chance to win one during the live stream. A 5 Reel Super Chat will allow you to participate in the giveaway while we're live. I understand that many are busy and may not be able to attend live broadcasts. However, if you want to participate, a 5 Reel Super Thanks is also an option. The winner will be announced on May 30th. For those unfamiliar with the Super Thanks feature, when watching on your phone, there's a button at the bottom of the video similar to the Super Chat feature. If you're on a computer, just click the 3 dots to access a drop-down menu where you'll find the Super Thanks option. This feature is for those who can't join live streams but still want to participate in the giveaways we promote. Now, let's review the latest updates and rumors about Christian Wilkins. I waited to discuss this until I could gather information from trusted sources within the organization. For those who are not familiar with the context, Wilkins suffered a foot injury during Week 5 of the last season, and there have been ongoing discussions about an athlete, and I decided to wait to touch on this topic until I gathered information from trusted sources within the team. For those who are not up to date on the situation, this athlete suffered a foot injury during Week 5 of last season, which kept him out for the remainder of the year. He underwent surgery to correct a Jones fracture in his left foot on October 8, 2024. Injuries of this type can be quite tricky, especially for someone of his size. However, the expectation is that he will be ready for the first week of next season. During the offseason, the athlete has been actively training, and there were no concrete reasons to question his full recovery until a report emerged from a certain source. When analyzing these reports, it's important to do so with a critical eye, as we would with information from other sources. Although this source is no longer connected to the organization, it is appropriate to treat their claims with caution. The report raised serious concerns about the athlete's foot injury, suggesting that he could be out for a period early in the season. This concern was mentioned both before and after the league's draft. It was indicated that the team had addressed their internal defensive line needs, stating before the draft that there was an issue with the athlete's foot and that he might need additional procedures. Additionally, 2 new pass rushers were incorporated into the roster. I must acknowledge this perspective. I share similar opinions. While I doubt another athlete will be traded, the team selected 3 receivers, which leads to questions about whether they might be considering parting with one of them. Considering the report on the foot injury and the subsequent selection of 2 defensive tackles, it's reasonable to assume that these decisions may be linked to concerns about the athlete's health. However, I prefer not to delve too much into this matter right now. If there's a report that the athlete is dealing with a foot injury and then the team opts to select 2 defensive tackles, it's natural to conclude that this action was influenced by the injury. I avoided addressing this, but an athlete touched on the subject today. No, I haven't received different information. He seems fine to me. Therefore, regarding this athlete, once again, whenever we hear from a player, some will tell the truth, while others might give the usual coach speak. This is someone who tends to provide reliable information and may not be fully aware of the situation. However, I also contacted another source, and that was shared. He was wearing a boot last month, but I haven't heard any news suggesting that he will miss time this season. What I want to highlight when discussing this is that I haven't received any information indicating that the athlete is dealing with a foot injury. Moreover, when we're talking about a player with such significance, we're not dealing with someone who's at the bottom of the list. We're talking about one of the most highly paid defensive tackles in the league. Are you suggesting that a trusted source wouldn't have this information? Are you implying that other journalists wouldn't have anything to add? Does it mean that the only person who apparently has a source on this is a specific source? If I'm wrong, I welcome any criticism, but it really seems difficult to believe that this source has a connection that no one else within the organization possesses, because everything I've heard is that the athlete did indeed have an issue with his foot. Yes, he was wearing a walking boot last month. However, everything I've gathered from other players in the team indicates that he'll be ready for the first week of the season, which is the only aspect that really matters to me. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has shocked the NFL and sent ripples throughout the sports world, Superstar quarterback Patrick Mahomes has agreed to join the Las Vegas Raiders. Known for his record-breaking plays and leadership with the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes' decision to switch allegiances within the AFC West has stunned fans and analysts alike. Mahomes, who led the Chiefs to multiple Super Bowl appearances and 2 championships, has been the face of the franchise since being drafted in 2017. His unexpected departure marks the end of an era in Kansas City and the beginning of a new chapter in Las Vegas. Sources close to the player confirm that Mahomes was drawn to the Raiders' ambitious vision for the future, bolstered by significant investments in their roster and coaching staff. The announcement came early Monday morning, setting off a firestorm on social media. Chiefs fans expressed disbelief and heartbreak, while Raiders supporters erupted in celebration, welcoming the former rival as a potential savior for a franchise eager to reclaim its former glory. Contract details have not been officially disclosed, but insiders suggest the deal rivals the biggest in league history, underscoring how serious the Raiders are about transforming their team into a Super Bowl contender. Mahomes' arrival is expected to bring immediate impact, both on the field and in the locker room, where his experience and championship mentality could elevate the entire organization. Analysts are already debating how Mahomes' presence will reshape the balance of power in the AFC. His familiarity with division opponents and proven track record could give the Raiders a crucial edge. Meanwhile, questions loom over how the Chiefs will fill the massive void left behind. Patrick Mahomes' move to Las Vegas is more than just a blockbuster signing. It's a seismic shift in the NFL landscape. Whether it results in championships remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The AFC West just got a lot more interesting. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.